Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the World of Wrestling podcast. Here today to discuss about the WWE Monday Night Raw episode for February 23rd, 2026 review. My thoughts on the show, it was alright. It was okay. It was watchable, I guess. We had an injury to Bronson Reed. He's out, so now we only have Logan Paul and fucking Logan Paul and Austin Theory that's left. I'm dumbfounded. This is really bizarre and strange. AJ Styles, he had a very, very nice celebration for his retirement. I think WWE treated him better than they treated John Cena, honestly. I don't even know how that's even possible. AJ Styles got better treatment, in my opinion, than John Cena. John Cena should have gotten the same kind of treatment that AJ Styles got. AJ Styles didn't tap out. He passed out, and that was it. And that's what we should have gotten from John Cena. I was fine with the smile. I really was. I was fine with John Cena's smile. And him passing out would have been perfectly fine by me. I think that would have been fantastic. And then giving him the same exact treatment that AJ Styles did, 100% bottom line, the best way to end a career. Was it ideal for AJ Styles to retire at the Royal Rumble? No. Not in Saudi Arabia, I don't think. But it is what it is. They gave him a good match to do his last match in. Him ending it at the Royal Rumble, 10 years where he debuted in his first match, I think was a smart move. And then giving him the Hall of Fame induction, I thought was icing on the cake. Him talking about his family and how his wife has held it down for him and his family while he was on the road trying to support his home and his kids and his wife. I thought that was fantastic. Very nice send-off. Very nice emotional ending to a show that was fair, I guess. SmackDown was pretty fair as well. I mean, there were some good things on the show. It was watchable, but it still wasn't. It's not the level it needs to be at. I'm just saying. Honestly, when you say it's okay, it's watchable, you're just setting the bar low to accept it for what it was. Now, granted, is it an improvement to the other shows we've seen in the last couple of months? Yes, I would have to say so. These last two episodes of SmackDown and Raw have been a lot better. But still not the level it needs to be at. It's still shit. Compared to what it used to be and what it can be, it's garbage. It feels like the show is handcuffed, in my personal opinion. I think that is the reason why everyone dreads watching the show. I think that's why a lot of people leaving and not watching the show anymore. Unless you're a die-hard wrestling fan, you're gonna sit through the shit. If you're a die-hard fan. If you're not, you're gonna eventually grow old of the shit and you're gonna walk away. Maybe there's a promotion out there that you really enjoy that you find better than WWE, and you're going to watch that. And if you find nothing entertaining about any wrestling promotion, you're just going to say to hell with it, and you're going to say goodbye to wrestling completely. Personally, I think that CM Punk tonight was bleh. Whatever. He was alright. He pretty much was, his whole operandi was, what ifs? What if this? What if that? I wish you would have thrown in there, what if you would have stayed in WWE and you never left for 10 fucking years? Yeah, what if that? What if? You're a fucking champion because Triple H has seen that you're the only standard left of the old guard, and his attitude is, let's strap the strap around him and have him carry the load. That's what this is all about. That's what the whole thing is about. And that's it. Finn Balor, he's getting he's just basically getting a conscientious, not a conscientious prize, the lower prize, as you will say. We also got the response as to who Liv Morgan's facing. Oh, God, that was a joke in its own right, man. I couldn't stand that shit. They gave you the subtitles in this episode of what happened last week in that sit-down interview when Vancouver was talking in Spanish, and they gave us English subtitles. Basically saying that everything was hand-given to her, and that she's had the Judgment Day around her to actually help her, carry her to wins, and so forth. And the company has carried her over the years, and has given her everything, and she has had to scrap and claw her way to being where she is today. I really don't know how that is. I mean, outside of getting to WWE, yes, but once you got there, they pretty much strapped the fucking rocket on you. I mean, you're main eventing not main eventing, but you're at WrestleMania going in as the world champion facing Liv Morgan, who's been there a lot longer than you have. So I don't know. But whatever. Liv Morgan ends up going ahead and knocking the shit out of Stephanie Vancouver while looking over to Jade Cargill, acting as if she was going to take the match with Jade. She turns around and hits her upside the head with the microphone and then starts beating the shit out of her. Dominic Mysterio hands her the world title, and she's standing in the middle of the ring holding the title above her head with Dominic Mysterio by her side, and that is pretty much what happened there. Wow. Like we didn't know that was going to happen. Javon Evans, he went up against Kofi Kingston in a very entertaining matchup. This was fun. I enjoyed this match. So yeah, Javon Evans got a match with Kofi Kingston. I thought the match was fun and an enjoyable matchup. I loved the backstage interaction between Javon Evans and the New Day. They have a nice look to them. They aren't looking like a bunch of freaks, as if they were cross-dressing freakazoids. They look like they were, dressing in some style, some swag, they look pretty cool. They didn't sound over-the-top ridiculous. They were normal. And they had a nice back-and-forth dialogue with Javon Evans that I enjoyed. I thought that was very good. And the match was fun to sit through, and that was enjoyable too. I didn't have any issues with that match either. Then we also had the 2 triple threat matches for the men and women. We had Raquel Rodriguez squeak out a victory, surprisingly enough. Io Sky did not make it into the chamber. It was Raquel Rodriguez. Now, this is kind of iffy, and it would be kind of an intriguing thing to see, is Raquel Rodriguez winning the Elimination Chamber. Now, granted, she is playing a heel at this point in time, but who's to say she can't turn babyface leading up to the World Championship she's challenging for. That's always a possibility. They want to go that route. That would take some creative brainstorming as to how we would get her to become a babyface while still being part of the Judgment Day. Does this lead to her breaking away from the Judgment Day and saying enough is enough? I've had enough of the Judgment Day holding me down, and say, fuck this, I'm going to SmackDown, I'm going to become a champion, instead of playing around in the shadows of the Judgment Day and say, the hell with this shit? And then we just get the breakdown of the entire Judgment Day just disappearing, which would be a very simple and straightforward thing to do. In my personal opinion, I think that would be the best thing to do. This would lead also, you can still have your Finn Balor Dominic Mysterio Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania. Maybe Dom and Finn Balor can both look at each other and blame one another for the fact that the Judgment Day have fallen apart. And point blame at one another. And maybe that's a direction they could go. Roxanne Perez, I have not seen. I don't believe I've seen Roxanne Perez on the show at all today. Not a whole lot of Judgment Day stuff, like them all being together as if they were one unit. They're kind of like all doing their own thing tonight. And Roxanne and JD McDonough were kind of like the outcasts that weren't even aired on the show. Maybe it's just because they're doing the last go-home show going into the Elimination Chamber, and that's probably why, since they had nothing to do with the Elimination Chamber event. And maybe that's the reason why that happened. I don't know. But I will say that Raquel Rodriguez making an Elimination Chamber alone is kind of a nice breath of fresh air. So my lean in the women's Elimination Chamber match is either going to be Rhea Ripley or Raquel Rodriguez. Those are my two picks that I would go with. If Rhea Ripley ends up winning the Elimination Chamber, I would say she's the one that should beat Jade Cargill for the title. And then later on, like the next pay-per-view at like Backlash or something, they could have Rhea Ripley and Io Sky go at it over the WWE Women's Championship. Maybe she turns as a heel. That's a possibility too. Maybe she can, well, actually no, she turns as a heel facing Jade Cargill. That's not going to work. I honestly think Raquel Rodriguez is the one to go with. She makes the perfect sense, because if you go with her just turning babyface, building up to a WrestleMania match with Jade Cargill, I think that would work out fine. I think that would be fantastic, honestly. And then you just have the Judgment Day disintegrate and disappear. And that's it. JD McDonough goes and does his own thing. Maybe he goes on to have a mid-card run and maybe eventually challenge for the Intercontinental Championship against Finn Balor. I think that would be a fun fucking match to see those two go at it. Two former tag team partners and champions going at it over the IC title. Fuck yeah. I think that match would kill. My only concern about JD McDonough is his injury issues. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries the last couple of years. And he hasn't been able to stay healthy for very long. That's my biggest concern. But overall, they got a lot of avenues to go with. I personally like the Raquel Rodriguez move. I think Rhea Ripley and Io Sky needs to happen at WrestleMania. No title on the line, pure grudge match, and Rhea Ripley turns heel on Io Sky. They lose the tag team titles this Friday at the SmackDown event to Nia Jax and Lash Legend. This leads to Rhea Ripley kind of going into a downward spiral of anger. She loses at the Elimination Chamber. And then they go after the tag team titles in a rematch. And they end up losing it. And she blames Io Sky for the reason for them losing those tag team titles. I will admit, though, my idea kind of seems a little bit rushed. Because there was no signs of them breaking down as a tag team. They seem very, happy in their setting on the show based on the way they're presented. So, my idea kind of needs a little bit more time to build towards that. I mean, it's more than enough time for them to do that, to build up to the point where they finally break up. But, in all honesty, if they, build it up for too long, it's not gonna have enough hype to it. All it's gonna be is a quick turn. It's gonna be a turn just before WrestleMania, and then a demand for a matchup where Rhea Ripley has yet to beat Io Sky. So it's kind of a catch-22 on that situation, I think. But I would go with the route of just, roughshotting it and just moving it quickly to where she just randomly turns on her. And at that point, she goes one-on-one with her at WrestleMania and finally beats her. That's the route they could go. So yeah, I would definitely go with that matchup. Because her facing Jade Cargill kind of removes her from facing Io Sky unless they break the rules, which they could. I mean, they've done that plenty of times before. Anyhow, so it is what it is. This quite frankly is an utter fucking mess, personally, in my opinion. But yeah. Anyway, moving on to the men's triple threat match tonight. We had Bronson Reed, Jey Uso, and the original A Grande Americano, Chad Gable, in this triple threat match. This match was what it is and what it was. Just a match. Bronson Reed ended up getting injured in this match. I believe they claimed it was a shoulder injury. Jesus Christ. How many times do these guys got to get injured with shoulder injuries? It's like they deliberately go ahead and just get injured on a week-to-week basis. The Vision is no more. The Vision is dead. There's nothing more to say. I really think that the Vision is a wannabe version of the Judgment Day that's disintegrating with injuries after injury that can't last. They got 2 members now that are left with Paul Heyman. So what are they going to be? A fucking tag team? Austin Theory and Logan Paul win tag team gold or something? I mean, that would be a fine idea, personally. The Usos versus Logan Paul and Austin Theory, I think that would be a fun match to sit through. But then again, we haven't seen no tag team chemistry between Logan Paul and Austin Theory to begin with to call them a tag team. So at the end of the day, it won't really work. It's just a random throw-together tag team challenging for belts against a good tag team with the Usos. That's all we got. Which we could easily do that with Penta and fucking Rey Fenix, because obviously Rey Fenix ain't doing shit, and Penta's come and go. 1 minute he's winning, and the next minute he's gone. Or he'll lose a match or a couple of matches, and then he'll disappear and then come back. Rusev had a segment on the show tonight. He talked to Adam Pearce by the box, which Adam Pearce decided to have the box shipped back onto the production truck, and send it to Chicago at the Elimination Chamber for us to finally see what's inside the box. oh boy, I wonder who it is. Probably Danhausen. So yeah, Rusev, he went ahead and he was talking to Adam Pearce, or not, Adam Pearce, and Adam Pearce said he had some other important things he had to attend to. He said, wait a second, I'm not important to you? He goes, well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but I do have other things I have to attend to. And he said, well, I'm sorry to break it to you. I want to talk to you about something. And then Obafemi, he points to Obafemi that he's the person he wants to talk to over Rusev. And Rusev said, oh, this is the guy you want to talk to. And he's like, yeah. And they kind of go back and forth. So we see a little bit of a build towards Obafemi and Rusev. I'm assuming Rusev is going to job out and be fed to Obafemi in a actual matchup, his first legitimate match that he's going to have on the show. And Rusev is going to be the jobber in this situation to Obafemi, which to me I think kind of sucks. Had we had Rusev actually built up on the show week to week, when he came back, an Obafemi versus Rusev at WrestleMania don't sound like a bad idea. Or at least build it up to a match between the two of them for the Elimination Chamber, no less. At least doing that. Can't even get that from him. And then eventually lead into Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, which that will definitely happen. So this match is just a thrown together matchup. Obafemi is going to be a wrestler that's not even established on the roster consistently, like an established character on the show, even though he's a very talented wrestler and given the opportunity to actually deliver a character on the show, he would actually be loved by the fans. It's already happened once before, genuinely. But, of course, WWE don't believe in genuine reactions. They want the reactions to be the way they want it to be. So they want to control the narrative. And that's why WWE and its fans are disconnected. Because back in the old days, during the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, hell, even back in the day when Hulk Hogan was running around and I was just a little Hulkamaniac as a little kid at 5 years old, you know, they cared about the fan reactions. They listened. And when they heard the fans cheering or booing a star, they did what they needed to do that was appropriate to the character. And if they didn't wanted to deal with them, they would, go away heat. And they got rid of them. Something WWE ought to go back and do. Because the thing that made wrestling great and why it was beloved at one point in time, where it'd get like 5 fucking million viewerships, and even in WCW's worst days produced better viewership than WWE of now on a week-to-week basis on both Thunder and Nitro, actually, in the year 2000 and 2001, which, believe it or not, is fucking hilarious how Nitro and Thunder had better viewership than WWE do now. It's just fucking laughable, honestly. I mean, Nitro was getting like 3 million views a night. Sometimes a little under that, like maybe 2 million views. And Thunder was getting about 1 million views. And back then, I mean, that wasn't great, but still that was passable. It just, TNT did not see the value because they had other things that were being viewed a lot more than that. So they figured, let's cut the cord and save a little bit of money. So that's why they got rid of WCW. I mean, that's pretty sad. But that was the beauty about wrestling, is that there was a connection between the WWE and the audience. The audience actually meant something. They were meaningful. They had a purpose. They told the creators of WWE what direction they needed to go with certain superstars that they were looking to push. And unfortunately, they don't care about that anymore. I guess apparently they don't need us. Why are you selling tickets then if you don't need us? That's just my overall viewpoint and thought on that. Now, moving on to the Brock Lesnar situation. Brock Lesnar made the appearance with Paul Heyman. Apparently, at this point, Paul Heyman has reached the point of no return where he's going to have to rely on working with Brock Lesnar because the vision is no more at this point with all these injuries. Between Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed now all being out with injuries. I mean, like, the vision ought to just go take a hike at this point. Braun Breaker, or not Braun, Brock Lesnar had a series of appearances that were shown on the Titantron, showing that after the Elimination Chamber, he's going to have a series of appearances he's making all the way up till WrestleMania, which can lead to some good storytelling. I'm thankful that if we do have a Brock Lesnar-Obafemi match, that we are actually building towards a storyline going into WrestleMania that we can look at week to week instead of Obafemi doing it all by himself. So I think that is a plus in that situation. So I'm very thankful they have that at least going on. Brock Lesnar's advocate, Paul Heyman, pretty much stated that, talked about his past history about winning the championships and beating the Undertaker's streak and all that stuff. And he says, here's the list of dates that Brock Lesnar will be here. If anyone has the balls to step up, get ready to get stepped down or stepped on in that sense. And that was the direction that they're going with this. So obviously, I would say after the Elimination Chamber event and Rusev and Obafemi get done with their match on Monday Night Raw, probably I think that match will be booked next week after the Elimination Chamber. Obafemi is going to say he's maybe decided he wants to sign with SmackDown and tell Adam Pearce that. And Adam Pearce says, look, I got one other thing. Just let me run this past you next week and let me know what you think of this. I will present it to you next week on Raw. Let me know what you think. And if this last opportunity, this last offer I give you does not meet it, then I will say, yeah, go ahead and sign with Nick Aldis. Just give me this opportunity to present you something that will definitely intrigue you to want to sign with Monday Night Raw. And then that night that they do that, Brock Lesnar comes out and he's the guy challenging Obafemi for a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. Or Adam Pearce makes the match as something that Brock Lesnar and Obafemi agree upon to have at WrestleMania to see who's the big dog or whatever description you want to call it. He's the conqueror versus the beast. You know, that kind of shit. But yeah, that's pretty much the direction they're going with that. More than likely, I highly doubt we're getting a Brock Lesnar LA Knight match. Get the fuck out of here. And truthfully, I don't know where they're going to go with LA Knight now. I mean, they ain't got Bronson Reed available because now he's out with an injury. I mean, like, this is a laundry list of insanity we got going on here. So, I'm really lost on what the fuck they're doing. But it is what it is, you know? Just absolutely insane shit, personally. But what are you going to do? Anyway, let me go over the list of other matches I might have missed with you guys tonight. Besides that, Gunther interrupted the show initially with the introduction with Michael Cole and Corey Graves talking about AJ Styles' celebration. Gunther poses one last time before leaving, and then Dragon Lee attacks him from behind, and security pulls Lee off, and Gunther angrily charges off. Adam Pearce pushes Gunther through the gorilla position, and Gunther is irate. Dragon Lee attacks Gunther again, and they brawl to the backstage area. Security pulls Lee off, and Gunther is furious. Pearce asks if Gunther is happy and says it's not his night. Cody Rhodes walks into the frame and looks at Gunther with disgust before heading through the gorilla position. Cody Rhodes makes his way out to the ring. And Cody Rhodes gets a lot of chants. Rhodes poses and looks moved by the reaction. The crowd then starts to sing his name. Rhodes says, "So, Atlanta, I know what we want to talk about." Rhodes knows why they're all here. The one and only, the phenomenal AJ Styles. Wrestling loyalty? Sure. The Vision cuts Rhodes off. Paul Heyman walks out to the stage alongside Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, and Austin Theory. Heyman tries to speak, but they boo him, and Theory says he cannot stand this place. Even though he comes from this place, they disrespect the Wise Man and the Vision. Theory says he's ashamed to be from Atlanta, and Paul takes the microphone and says Rhodes isn't ashamed to be from Atlanta, just like everyone from Atlanta. Rhodes has zero common sense. Rhodes is insane for showing up on Monday Night Raw when Bronson Reed wins tonight, then the Elimination Chamber, and wins at WrestleMania. The Vision will take over SmackDown, and Rhodes will be the first one out of the door. Paul sarcastically says, "God bless all of you," to the crowd, because they'll watch Reed win his qualifying match starting now. So, this match happened as the opener. Jey Uso walked away with the victory here. This was a decent matchup. I didn't really have any issues, but it wasn't great or anything, and nothing extremely stood out to me that screamed, "Oh my gosh," at all, but whatever. Next, we had Shinsuke Nakamura and Bobby Roode talking backstage. Both of them had big rivalries with AJ Styles. The Michael Jordan-owned NASCAR rolls into the arena, and the world champion CM Punk emerges with Tyler Reddick. So, talked about Liv Morgan's segment. Talked about the situation with Javon Evans and whatchamacallit, and Kofi Kingston. Maxine Dupree and Natty had a one-on-one match. This match went to a referee stoppage, so Natalya won in very quick fashion. Liv Morgan celebrating with Dominic Mysterio after the attack they had on Vancouver, and she was celebrating with Dom and Raquel. JD McDonough apologizes to Finn Balor for being hot-headed last week. McDonough believes Balor can do this on his own, and Balor thanks him. Mysterio says they left him hanging last week, which is why he lost. Now he has to defend the title next week on Raw against Penta, and Balor sarcastically apologizes for not being there because he's focusing on the biggest match of his career. See, these are things that look like the whole entire Judgment Day are looking to pretty much look like they're going to end. Anyway, Balor says he held his own while the other two were injured. Balor tells Mysterio to take some responsibility and grow up. Balor walks off, and McDonough says he'll talk to him. We then get a odd thing to be thrown around here. I don't know why we're talking about boxing. I'm actually a huge boxing fan. I've been following boxing for the last couple of years now. I know pretty much a lot of the big names in boxing, and I wish wrestling would take some of boxing's ideas for creative ideas when it comes to interactions among characters and whatnot. Because in boxing, you get all kinds of fucking drama. You could also talk about contract disputes, maybe implementing contracts on purse amount of money that you, like a certain percentage, things of that sort, to create some sort of friction among the characters. The contracts they could use amongst them, and they're already doing that now with the free agents. But let's say like they only have a certain amount of time on their contract with that brand, and then that could be our way out of the whole draft thing. And instead of just randomly just swapping all the rosters around, they have contracts that are set for a set amount of months or maybe a year or two. And then when that comes up, they can make a storyline out of that, or have a wrestler frustrated by how they're being treated on the brand, and maybe develop a match from the manager to the wrestler, or the manager has a match with the wrestler, like the manager hires a mercenary to do his bidding against the wrestler that feels like he's being, fucked over with his money, income. I mean, you could implement the idea of how it upsets him, how he's getting shortchanged, and he wants to be able to take care of his family and shit. And then you could bring it to a whole nother level, like how Samoa Joe did with AJ Styles at SummerSlam in, I think it was 2017 or 2018, and do something like that, and have him like go to his family's house, make it very personal, and then you could have, the good guy going after the bad guy, shit like that. I mean, you could even do that without the contract dispute being involved. I mean, there's all kinds of things you could really do, but just WWE doesn't have no creativity anymore. They're just creatively bankrupt and probably just don't even care anymore. That's just my feelings on it and what I think. But yeah, Connor Bennett is officially signed to Zuffa Boxing, a UK prospect who has been doing some really good stuff, beat a top tier name in boxing, and has had some good fights in the UK, and now he's coming over to the United States in Zuffa Boxing to work with Dana White. Dana White is no longer really booking the fights for UFC anymore, which is shocking. Instead, Dana White is booking the fights for boxing, for Zuffa. And they've created their own championship belt, no less. Which, on, I think it's March 8th. Yeah, I think on March 8th, they are officially having their first ever Zuffa Boxing Championship belt being given to someone to win. And that will be a top-tier cruiserweight going up against a cruiserweight I've never heard of. But, yeah, I mean, Zuffa Boxing looks pretty interesting. I may start catching Zuffa Boxing from now on, too, with MMA, with UFC. It's freaking crazy. They may turn Zuffa Boxing into the primary promotional boxing organization where they have their own fucking championship. Because boxing really does have WBA, World Boxing Association, World Boxing Organization. The WBO is World Boxing Organization. And they have the WBC, which is the World Boxing Council. As well as the international, I think it's the International Intercontinental Boxing Federation. So yeah, they actually have their own governing body championship belts outside of Zuffa Boxing, and I thought Zuffa Boxing was just another promotion that would compete over those type of titles, and apparently that's not the case. But anyway, let's move on here. Talked about Rusev Obafemi. Talked about Brock Lesnar. So I pretty much covered all that. Becky Lynch, she pretty much spewed the same shit she's been talking about. Says that AJ Lee can't compare resumes with hers. All Lee ever did was win a butterfly championship belt called the Divas title. She did start a movement, at least, but, Becky Lynch definitely did a lot to help elevate women's wrestling, along with a few other talents along with her. She goes on to say Lee will be the least talented AJ to retire this year. On Saturday at Elimination Chamber, Lynch will prove how good she is. Becky Lynch will put the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship on the line against AJ Lee at the Elimination Chamber, and stated that she's not the only one that believes she's the greatest wrestler of all time. It's everyone else saying it, blah, 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 blah. Nor do I give a shit. Javon Evans, he won his match against Kofi Kingston. Good matchup. Frankie Kazarian was backstage, and he opens the door of the boiler room, and out comes Abyss. Chris Parks cannot walk anymore. I mean, the guy looks like he's fucking crippled as shit. But whatever. Get a video package of Finn Balor. Says it's been 10 years of what ifs. He has to convince everyone, including the Judgment Day, when Balor lost to CM Punk in Belfast, he stopped asking what if. Now it's when he beats Punk and goes on to WrestleMania. There will be no more what ifs because everyone will know who is the best in the world. So, I mean, take it as you will. I don't particularly think much of Finn Balor having a win over this. It ain't gonna fucking happen. Anyway, backstage we had another surprise guest on the show. We had Petey Williams, Jeremy Borash, and Omos backstage to celebrate AJ Styles' retirement. We had the women's matchup. As I already mentioned, Raquel Rodriguez ends up winning this matchup. And, that was pretty much it. And then it was the tribute to AJ Styles. And that was your show in a nutshell. So again, like I said, not a bad show, but it wasn't, super exciting. I mean, there was nothing oh my gosh, but it was a lot better than what we've gotten from WWE in the last couple of months. I mean, that's been fucking dreadful to sit through. So, I mean, this was passable, but, I mean, it feels like they've beaten us so much and made us so down on the product. You're gonna have to do some things to get us uplifted with your promotion at this point. Because they have pretty much taught us to expect nothing and get nothing, and that's pretty much what we've gotten. At least from the people that have stayed and watched, and the people that couldn't take it anymore, they left. So, that's pretty much it, guys. So anyway, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great night, guys. Bye.